Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Today I want to do something that I've been putting off doing, but the more I think about it, the more I teach about it, the more I realize this needs to be done. I want to start by saying I first heard about Dave Ramsey, 15 years ago, when he had his radio show, and I listened to him not because he was a finance guy, but because he was a Christian finance guy. Because one of the things that I have found about most finance guys is there's no room for God in their finances, and that bothered me. And so, like I said, it's been about 15 years, and I, for the most part, embraced the things that he said, and I thought they were out of the realm of my possibility at the time, and they were. But I never forgot. So, before I did this program, I went back and I did some research. I watched a little TV show that he did about the 7 baby steps because I wanted to make sure that I got them right. And I'm going to go through those real quick, and then I'm going to go down and discuss some of the differences he and I might have. Now, the first one he talked about was getting an emergency fund of $1,000. Number 2, pay off all your debt. Number 3, increase your emergency fund to 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Number 4, take 15% of your salary and put into a mutual fund, and he prioritized them by match funding and then Roth. And then save for a college fund. Number 6, pay off your house. And number 7, you will be a millionaire within about 10 years. Okay. Now let me go down that list and tell you, having what I've done and having what I've been teaching, there are some definite differences here. Starting your emergency fund with $1,000 today is completely different than when he started teaching this in the 80s. To have the equivalent of $1,000 in the 80s, you're going to need $2,000 today. I don't think that's enough, and I don't think you should stop putting towards your emergency fund. I think it's okay to put $1,000 or $1,500 into your emergency fund, but it's not okay to stop and then go pay off debt. And I'll tell you why. Because I've been there, done that. A transmission on your car today is $1,850 minimum. So if you've got $1,000 in your emergency fund and your tranny goes out, everything you've done to get out of debt, you're right back in debt. Been there, done that. So if you're starting off, your emergency fund should be a minimum of $2,000, and in my opinion, if you get it to $1,200 to $1,500, and instead of putting everything you can to get that built up, you just continually have it automatically taking out of your account, put in an amount, call it $30 a payday, call it $50 a month, whatever the number is, and have it put into your emergency fund every month. And don't use it unless you absolutely have to. Now, then he says, pay off all your debt. He said in this one, everything that you have that's over $1,000, sell it, liquidate it, get rid of it, and pay towards your debt. Again, I disagree. I think it's okay to pay. I think it is important to pay off your debt, and he's exactly right on the baby step. The intensity of it for everybody doesn't work. If you're a single mom and it takes you a while to get your emergency fund, if you're a single mom, do you really have anything to go sell? to put towards your debt? No. If you can build your emergency debt with, let's say, $100 a month, okay? And you're paying $100 a month on your credit cards. After you get your emergency fund to $1,200 to $1,500, lower that in half and put that towards your debt. Now, the show that I watched, he's changed his position. When he was teaching on this originally, on paying down your credit cards, he always said go from your largest to your smallest because you will save the most money. And he's correct. But in the show that I just watched, he said you pay the minimums on all of them and attack the smallest one with the biggest fervor, and that I agree with. So you pay your minimums on all your biggest cards, all your biggest debts, and then you put as much money as you can towards your little one, and then the next little one, and then the next little one. That way you have a snowball and it'll build quickly. Then he said 15% towards a Roth, a mutual fund, or a employer matched fund. The only thing I agree with that statement is if your employer is matching funds, I would do the maximum that is matching funds. Like if your employer will match 3%, then do 3%. But anything other than that, I don't agree with this. I believe that you should start saving, because once you free up your debt, you'll have money that you can invest. And I would invest. I would not invest in a retirement account, and I just did a video on that called Never Invest in a Retirement Account. You should watch that. It'll free you a lot, I promise. So I would take the money that you're going to put in a mutual fund, put it into an investment account, and just let it sit there and build for a while till you get enough money to go open either a brokerage account or a mutual fund that will be in stock market index funds, not just a mutual fund. The next one was save for a college fund. He said you should be doing this simultaneously for your kids. Again, I disagree. I did a video called Is College Worth It? And here's my belief. If your child is going to college because they need a knowledge-based degree, law, medicine, computers, science, one of the hard, then they can get the student loans, and they will make enough when they come out of their jobs to pay those loans off rather quickly. My son financed all of his college. He had a master's degree in computers, and he paid it off in just a couple of years. If, however, you're going to be a school teacher, a social worker, a business major, don't waste your time. Don't go to college. Learn how to build wealth and spend the 10 years you would spend in college. Spend those 10 years living like a college student and building your wealth. That makes more common sense to me. And then he says pay off your house. Well, I think paying off your house could be a good thing or a bad thing. Because at this point you're now investing in the market, you're investing your money, you've got money in the bank. If you've got a loan, I recently bought a house at 2.8% interest. Why would I pay that off if it's appreciating 5% per year? So by having the loan, I'm making 3%. Dave Ramsey would argue, well, you could make 5%. Yes, that's true, but the good part about it is you would have your house payment that you could reinvest. However, If the house is appreciating after a certain amount of years, you can go and pull the equity out and start purchasing real estate. When your accounts get to a certain balance, you can take that money and start purchasing real estate, income producing real estate. You'll get better tax write-offs than your retirement account that he's pushing. You'll build wealth quicker. You'll have immediate income. You'll have long-term income. You can have the asset and pass it down. You can refinance. You can buy. You can sell. You don't have hardly any of those benefits with retirement accounts or college accounts. Now, one thing I would do for my kid, if I had to do it over again, is I would not buy a college fund. I would not invest for college, but I would start them a fund that would help them to buy a house or investment properties when they are prepared and when they're ready for it. For no reason would I hand them money like that for a house. I would help them, I would have the money for them, and I would teach them about investing, and then I would help them do that. But to just turn the money over and trust that they're going to do the right thing with it, that's a poor idea. And then he says, baby step number 7 is after they hit the research that he does says that after you start this with a fervor and you are intentional with it, from the day you start to, they say 10 to 11 years, you'll be a millionaire. And I would agree with that. But what he's not telling you is after the 7 baby steps, there are many investment steps along the way that need to be taken. And I want to address one thing that he pushes, and that's not to use credit cards. I think that is asinine. That's one of the first ways I learned to make passive income. You get sign-up bonuses, you get cash back, and though it takes time, you can make hundreds and thousands. We had a financial game where we made $1,000 in credit cards in just a matter of 6 or 8 months. So just for living, just for paying for things with the cashback credit card. So you figure you make $1,000 every 10 months. I mean, dang, in 10 years you made $15,000 on credit cards. So I disagree with him. When he says pay off all of your credit cards and tear them up and throw them away, that's wrong. Pay off your credit cards, I agree with that part. But never close a credit card account, never tear them up and throw them away, because your credit, in spite of what he says, this is another thing he teaches that your credit rating is not important. You can have a self-done credit rating at the bank. I'm sorry, Fannie and Freddie don't like that. Your credit rating is important. You need a long lifespan on your credit cards to keep your credit rating in good standing. And remember that your credit rating will help you save money all along your journey, from lower insurance rates to lower mortgage rates to lower deposit rates on rentals. A good credit rating is very important in spite of what Dave Ramsey says. I like the 7 baby steps. I just disagree with some of them. I disagree with the intensity of them, and I disagree with some of them just totally in general, and I disagree with some of the teachings that Dave Ramsey has, and I've given my reasons why. But overall, I like Dave Ramsey. He's the king of this genre. He deserves respect and props, and I give that to him. But the world is a different place now than when he started teaching, and I think he needs to modify his teaching. Well, that's about all I wanted to say. You guys have a great day, a great week, and happy investing.